So we're just going to do platform updates to start with. Okay. So with the platform updates, some of these fall in line with what I was mentioning just now in terms of we're trying to enable customers to basically achieve the same or more with less effort. And one of the things we're introducing in the Skillable TMS, and which has been released now, is the concept of a course template. So if you use the training management system, you'll be familiar that when you actually create a course, that course has a very large number of options associated with it. And often you find in a lot of organizations, they set a lot of those options to the same values. Okay. So all of a sudden, you've got this situation that if you're creating, a couple of courses a week, a course every couple of weeks, or even worse, you may be creating a course every month or every 6 weeks. Okay, you end up in this situation where you're getting all the settings set correctly. You're either setting it frequently, but you've got lots of things to set, or you're setting it so infrequently you often forget to remember what you're actually doing. So within the TMS now, when you actually create a course, one of the things you can actually choose to do is you can choose to say that you want to use this as a template. Okay, so you can come in here and you can set whatever fields it is that you want to set. Now certain fields you're not going to change, like for example activities, you're not going to add labs in there for a template, but you might have things like an evaluation or a couple of those other bits which are about your organization or whatever they might be. But there's lots of things that you might want to come in here and just set as standardized options, so you haven't got to do that every time. And then when you hit the create course tools, you can see I'm on the create course tool. So what I could do is I could say open templates. Okay, and I could then actually go and pick a template. Okay, so I can come in here and just basically take an example template. Okay, and that then goes on and it basically fills a whole load of fields for me. Any fields basically that you want to set. And of course, I can then overwrite them and things if that's what I want to do. Okay, so this one actually has activities built into it, but quite likely you wouldn't normally. Okay, so if you wanted to have activities, you could absolutely do that as well. So that's something that's been released. We're also going to do the same with classes. Okay, so when you sort of do a create class, you can do an open templates from class. This actually just got pushed before I did this, just after very recently. So I've not had a chance to do the slides, but exactly the same, the ability here as well. And we're also going to introduce quite soon another great feature as far as create class form. So if you can see here with create class, you've got this requirement to basically go and choose a course. Okay. One of the things that we will be actually doing is allowing you to actually create a class without actually having a course behind it. Okay, so you don't need to create the course first. You'll just be able to add your activities into the class. Okay, so if you think of the use case for that, you've got that class that you run, well, that course you run pretty frequently, but then you've had a customer come along that says we'd just like a special version of it. So it's going to be a one-off you're going to create for that customer. So you won't need to create a course first before you create the class. Okay, so that's the sort of use case behind that. So these are all things to try and really sort of speed up that productivity side, allow you to get things done sooner with less clicking and all those sort of things. Okay, so there are two things that have been released. I don't have the class one on here, but also the fact that we've got that create a class without a course type option coming as well pretty soon. Skillable Connect. So Skillable Connect's our API service that people use. So we've actually made a couple of changes to the API. Now, these do require you to contact us and ask for these to be enabled for you, because there is a little bit of a sort of conversation we've got to have about the details of how these work, and there might be some contractual pieces in that as well. So the first one is really revolving around being able to adjust the lab profile duration on launch. Okay, So the idea is you can actually set a lab profile to have a different duration when you launch it. So that particular instance has a different duration to what the actual lab profile has. So imagine, for example, having a lab profile that you've configured to run for 8 hours, but then you've got a version that you launch and you only run it for 4 hours. So the first thing is this is designed to allow people to actually use the same lab profile for different use courses where they want different durations. We have lots of customers that only duplicate lab profiles because they want different durations attached to them. Okay, so we're now basically providing a way to do that via API, as well as by being able to, for us to be able to build rules into the platform for you as well. But this does require obviously a conversation, because it does start to involve things like dynamic pricing. So effectively pricing adjustments based on the duration that's actually being launched. We want to make sure the pricing is fair and accurate based on the duration. Okay, so this is something that a customer can do, but we do need to enable a couple of things for that customer in order to be able to take advantage of this. The other feature we have, and again, it sort of fits into the same area, is being able to adjust the instance activity timeout. Okay, so this is that timeout that controls things like autosave. Okay, so the ability to actually use an API to adjust the autosave values on launch. This was tied to a specific customer request, which actually allows them to, depending whether they're actually using a lab for a self-paced scenario or they're using a lab for an instructor-led scenario, to control this timeout. When they're doing instructor-led scenarios, they want this timeout to be much longer. When they're doing self-paced, they'd like labs to sort of save themselves pretty quickly when a user's not interacting with the lab, to sort of maximize runtime and things. So this was very much specific to a customer request, but absolutely something other customers can take advantage of as well. Next thing I'll talk about is insights. So insights really quite an important product from our point of view in terms of being able to give customers that data they need. Okay, so that's really, really important to us. We haven't got any new insights reports to talk about here, but what I would like to highlight is we create custom reports for our customers. Okay, so if you've got a requirement for data and you either can't get it from Studio or TMS, or you can from the API, but then you've got to put it into Excel and you're messing about with it. If you would like us to create reports for you, just reach out to your account executive, reach out to your support people and things, and we can absolutely make that happen. Our insights team be perfectly happy to create custom reports for you that you can access via the insights tool. Okay, so if you've got a need in that area, just reach out to account exec, customer success manager, support, and we have a process for getting custom reports built for customers. Okay, so Studio itself, the first one, instruction editors, getting a spell checker. Whey! So this is actually in QA at the moment, and user acceptance testing. It will be going to production on the 3rd of October. But basically, just to show you, obviously, I've got the new instruction editor here. If I was to come in here and type something badly, so actually you can see now I can basically right click and I can sort of pick the correct spelling that I want and so on. Okay, so we're now getting spell checker, and it will be pushed on the 3rd of October to production. Okay. So that's really great news. Also, actually, if I stay in there, really, the new screenshot activity is all available for any customer to use that's using the new instruction editor. So that's available in production. So if you go to the activities, you can choose to do a new screenshot activity where we will actually take a snapshot, a little photograph of the user's lab screen, so whatever's going on inside the VM, and we will then send that to the AI engine, and you could actually then put a question in here to see if the screen's got the right information in here. So something really obvious, you ask someone to create a folder. So they've gone into File Explorer, they've created the folder, okay, and then you could just put in the AI prompt, check to see if a directory called test exists in the root. So you can just do something like that, okay, and that will then basically come back with a true or false. If you wanted to, you can upload images. You can see this is optional. So if you wanted to upload sample images which represent like known good, okay, you can absolutely do that as well. Okay, so that's all available in production. Okay, so that is still like a proof of concept technology. It's not what we would regard as general availability. Okay, so basically it is still in a test beta type mode. Okay, but it is available for everybody, but it's only available via the new instructions editor, same as the spell checker is new instructions editor only. Okay, so we were sort of calling this the screenshot activity. I often refer to it as no code automated activities because there's no coding, there's no PowerShell, there's no bash, there isn't anything else. Integrated browser beta is live. Okay, so we're basically just starting to reach out to customers. We have it now running in production. So we're now actually going to start onboarding customers that have shown interest in it and should be hearing shortly about that. So just want to let you know that it did get a bit delayed because we had a couple of concerns around some of the changes. We wanted just to run them through some more security testing just to make sure we hadn't missed anything. But that's all okay, and it sits where it wants to be. There's also a new feature as far as, a couple of new features as far as templates are concerned, but there's a very recent new feature related to end user license agreements. So we'll talk about that when we talk about the template gallery, okay? But it's a way that if you was actually producing templates that you wanted other organizations or other people to use, you can attach end user license agreements to them, and you can put any language in there you wanted to. And Skillable is using this for its templates. Okay. You would have noticed we've done a branding update. So in Studio, we've sort of put our proper corporate font. We've changed the green to the correct green again. And we've also made a change to a lot of the sort of features around the admin page and things. So we've got the new buttons. When I go to the admin page, we've got the new icons. So a lot of these icons are quite similar, but some of them are new. Like the integration icon is different, for example. So we've just done sort of some tidy up work. We've got like rounded corners on the tiles now. So again, part of that streamlining the experience, all as we start to move forward with our new user interface, which you're going to start seeing being released over the coming months, really. Okay, starting with, for example, a new dashboard. So this is going to be made over just to make it a bit cleaner and simpler, a bit more modern and things. So that's the sort of branding update. If I'm honest, the branding update and the font update hasn't gone as well as we'd have liked. Certainly, one of the things that you're going to see now, so I'm going to let the elephant out of the room just to deal with it. If we come down into here, we made some mistakes with the formatting of text when there's quite a lot of text. So you can see that's actually the tick box for that option there. So we haven't really done a good job of that. If we come down to where we've got big strings of text, yeah, it's not pretty. Okay, so that will get fixed on the 3rd of October as well. So functionally, it's all okay. It just doesn't look very tidy. That will just take a little while to get resolved. The other thing, just really from the point of view of Studio, is actually all the things we're doing around the template gallery. So the key thing really maybe that a lot of people might have noticed is we have a large number of brand new templates. All the old templates have been got rid of, and we have lots of brand new templates. But obviously we'll talk about that in more detail when we get into the main subject of today. The last thing, which is either one of those things that impacts an organization quite significantly or that you don't care about at all. When you build labs using Azure, AWS or potentially GCP in the future, one of the things you have to select is what we call a cloud subscription pool. So this determines the cloud account that we will actually use to spin the resources up in when we're actually creating them. Some organizations have quite a lot of these. Some organizations only have one. Okay. What we've enabled is the ability for you to define the default subscription pool for each of the different cloud types, Azure, AWS, and GCP, for when we release it. So the idea, again, is just about making life a little bit more efficient for lab developers. You know, if you've only got one subscription pool available, when you go into a cloud lab, it will just fill that in automatically. So it's just removing, you know, the fact that you've got to press a button that says choose, you've then got to do a search, you've then got to click on a row item, you've then got to click on OK. So actually, just by having a default subscription pool, we've actually removed 5 clicks from the process. So again, it's just about that, getting rid of clicks, making it simpler. If there's only one option, why do we prompt you, basically? Or if you've got lots of choices, but there's a default and you should only use one of the others in extreme circumstances, let's just put the default in now. So it's just so we can set up for you on your behalf. So you just reach out to us via your account exec, your CSM, your via support, and we can set that on your organization. So quite a few things been going on in the background now. And we're certainly doing a lot on the instruction editor. We've still got stuff on integrated browser, and there's lots of sort of UI enhancements going on as we sort of evolve the platform. Obviously, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat or raise your hand if you want to ask. And you will see a lot coming over the rest of the year. September's a little bit quiet for us because we had an all-company meeting, so that sort of took some time out of the development processes. But you'll see us sort of full steam ahead again now from to the end of the year, and we've got a lot of changes coming. When we talk about like instructions editor, there's some great features to show you that are coming, like document import, for example. Take a Word document and import it into the Markdown editor. That's something we're hoping to release this year. Really thinking about that, we did some testing the other day, and we were taking a 75-page Word document with over 600 images, and it was importing that in under 2 seconds. So we're really excited about that feature. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. These things never are. And in order to get a lot of the Skillable secret sauce, you would still need to go in there and then obviously make some changes. But it's going to get you very, very fast.